Hello all and welcome to video classes by Konnur Institutes. Today we will be discussing the next part from the same chapter, which is census and the sample survey. So in the previous class we have discussed the modes of data collections, right? Wherein you have been very familiar with the three different types of interviews. One was the personal interview, second was the telephonic, and third one was the mailing interview, right? So now let's understand what is the census and the sample survey. You all might have heard about this word census, right? So census is nothing but a survey which is conducted to make a count of all the individuals. Okay, so last time in our country we had this census. Basically it's a survey which is conducted on knowing how much the population has increased from the last census what we have conducted from the current census. So that's what census means. So as of 2011 we have so far conducted 15 census. So this census is being conducted once in 10 years. Okay, so last time it was in 2011 and next it will be in 2021. So if you consider from this year to this year, we can see that there is a change of 17% in the population. So this is nothing but there is an increase in the population from the census which we had conducted in 2011, and if you compare that with the 2011, then you can see that there is an increase in population by 17%. So when we have done this census in 2011, you can see we can what we have done here is we have segregated the status with accordance to this population. So highest populated state is UP, which is Uttar Pradesh, and the lowest is the Sikkim. Okay, so this is how we differentiate the states or the regions by the number of populated areas. So this is not just about the population. What we even study here is how many people are literate, how many people are illiterate. So every situation or every kind of factors are considered here in the census. You might have heard about census in your in your childhood days, wherein people used to visit your houses and they used to ask several questions, right? How many people are living in this house? Who is the main person for sources of income? And how many kids are going to school? And how many are below 5 years? So these all are the information which they used to collect when they have visited our houses, right? So this is nothing but they are collecting that information for this census so that they can make accurate data to show to the country that where we stand, how is the situation right now. So by understanding this or by collecting this all the information, we get to know what is the situation in our country. So this census is done in every country. Okay, so they have their own different ways to conduct it. But in our country, we have we conduct once in 10 years. So last time it was conducted in 2011. Before this, it was conducted in 2011. So when you compare these two census data, we can see that there is an increase in 17% from the previous one. So this is what about census. So you have got a very minute information about the census. So we are talking about population here. So when we are talking about population, is it in a small size? No, right? Population is a very huge number or a big size, right? So that's the reason this sample survey comes into picture. Why we are talking about the sample is because, see, when you go to a shop or you go to any of a malls, they provide these samples, right, of a product. Why do they provide samples? Is because they want to make that product very familiar to the customer about all the information. Maybe it might be the quality of that product, or it might be something new they have introduced, right? So they want to make sure that customer likes this product, so that in the next time or in the next step, the customer might or the customer can go for this product, right? So that's the reason companies come with this sample. Even if you have remember, we used to get sachets of coffees in the newspapers, right? So that was just a sample wherein the company has initiated to make sure that this sample would reach to each and every person, so that they can come to know what kind of product we are producing. So that's because they want to tell us this is what we produce. So they cannot sell it in a bulk. They are just giving us in a very small amount, so that people get to know about it. In the same manner, population is a big size wherein we cannot go and conduct a survey for everybody. That's the reason what we are doing is we are taking a small part or a small portion. This is a huge portion in which we are just taking this portion, so that we can get accurate information of what kind of project we are carrying out. So that's nothing but the sample survey. Imagine if I want to conduct a survey. I have also told this example in previous videos, wherein I want to understand how the people or how the students of 10th standard have experienced their board exam, right? So, can I go and ask the entire students, how many students have entered the 10th standard exam? Is it possible for me to take the survey or take the information from each and every student of 10th standard? It's quite difficult for me to get all the information, right? So what I do is I select one of the group or one of the bunch of students wherein they have recently appeared the 10th standard exam. So I may choose according to the region, or I may choose according to the schools or school wise, what we say, right? So that gives me the access for easily access of the students wherein I can get the information. It will be difficult if I consider the entire whole bunch of students, right? So that's the reason the population has given up this sample, so that it becomes very easy for the person who is conducting the survey. So it also reduces the cost and also reduces the time, so that you get the accurate and the correct information about what you want to get. So that's all about the sample survey. And how are we going to collect these samples? So we have two different samples, wherein we call it as a random sampling and the non-random sampling. The name itself is suggesting us about the random sampling and the non-random sampling. So random is nothing but we are selecting them randomly. We are not very sure whom to select and whom not to select. So here in the random sampling, what happens is everybody has an equal chance. We even call it as a lottery system, right? So when you have taken a lottery and you fold the chit and put it in the box wherein you might get or you may not get, right? So you have that equal chance of being picking up, right? So random sampling is that same manner wherein we also call it as a lottery, and even we call it as a probability. 50 chances of getting selected and 50 chances of not getting selected. So it is also called as a probability. So what we are talking about here is, see, these are the population this is the population framework we can say, and here these are the students wherein I have made them to sit. Okay, so this becomes 10, 15, 20, 25 and 30. So my population size is 30 and I want to select only 5 because I cannot give the entire questionnaire for all the 30 students because it becomes very difficult for me. Okay, so that's the reason. What I am going to do is I am going to just select 5 out of this 30. So how are we going to choose these 5 students? So when it is compared, when we are talking about the random sampling, what I will do is I may pick any of 5 students out of this 30. Maybe I can pick up this row, or I can pick up this row, or maybe I can pick up this column, right? So it's not fixed that I am going to select these 5 students. Okay, so random sampling is I may pick anybody from this. So everybody in this population has equal chance of getting selected. Why? Because if I have selected 30, it doesn't mean that I have focused him to select. Okay, so I have selected him randomly. So that's the reason random sampling it says that everybody has an equal chance of getting selected. So what is then non-random sampling? Non-random sampling is exact opposite of the random sampling. So here what happens? The sampling, the sample what I am going to choose may be influenced by somebody else. For example, I might have been influenced by somebody who might be very sure about these students. Okay, I am new to these students. So somebody from the school who used to teach might have influenced me to select this only 30, 25 and 20 students. Okay, that is exactly opposite of the non-random sampling, right? Because here the equal amount or equal preference of getting selected is being avoided. Here there is a bias which we can see, right? Or somebody might have influenced, saying that the person, I have selected this student, first student, and he might tell me that to choose the 23rd student, right? Because he might be a very close friend of that, right? So here what happening is I am not selecting randomly, but here there is a bias which you can see in the sampling. So that's about the non-random sampling. So we have so many other different types of sampling wherein you study as you go on in the higher classes. So that's all for now. In the next class we will understand more on errors while we are selecting the samples. See you all in the next video class.